Mufasa, The Lion King is a deeply frustrating movie. It answers the question of what will happen when Disney runs out of their classic IP to remake. They love betting on movies that already have been a success, and they're nearly through remaking all of their classic princess movies. I mean, Lady and the Tramp, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, Pinocchio, even Snow White all have or are getting remakes. I think a Tangled one is in the works now from The Greatest Showman director. But Mufasa, as hollow and sterile a remake as it is, still does have some cool shots and a great sweeping vista to take in. Even if it's live action and it is technically entirely animated, I did enjoy parts of this. I saw it in IMAX, and it uses the full scope of the IMAX aspect ratio, which does add for immersion into this world, but I will say it's as bland and safe and scared as blockbuster movies come. This isn't a sequel to the 1994 classic Lion King movie, thank God, I love that movie. But it acts as a prequel to the 2019 remake of The Lion King, and I guess we could say it is technically a spiritual prequel to the original, telling us the story of how Mufasa became the king of Pride Rock. And it's okay, yeah, it's really fine. I didn't hate the movie, but there is a lot of stuff here I don't like, and I want to get into that today. It is a movie I think young kids, who are the primary audience, will enjoy, but they do deserve a lot better. For example, Sonic 3 looks like it's a lot more fun. It looks more funny, entertaining, and like the adults will enjoy that movie too. Where Mufasa is just so bland, I think even little kids who this movie's meant for won't really like it too much, unless they're maybe 4. And adults who are taking them should be able to enjoy it too, but there's just nothing for them. The Lion King remake got a lot of hate for being expressionless and soulless, and the animators and creative team do really address that in this film. The lions are always smiling and are a bit more expressive, which I will say might help young kids appreciate the film or find these animal characters relatable, but it honestly just feels and looks really weird. And right from the beginning, where Donald Glover as Simba starts to speak the opening lines of the movie, it just felt incredibly off and uncanny valley. I literally turned to my friend who I saw this with and said, this movie just is fucking weird. Not to mention, Donald Glover is reading his lines like he doesn't even want to be in this movie. The film also adopts this really weird and annoying framing structure, which is a bit distracting and honestly kind of too safe, where Rafiki the monkey is telling the story of Mufasa to Kiara, Simba and Nala's young daughter, voiced by Beyonce Knowles' real-life daughter, and Timon and Pumbaa, voiced by Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen, are there too. And I think these two characters are extremely distracting. They're definitely the classic humorous duo that we all love from 1994's The Lion King. They were the comic relief of the classic movie. But this film vastly overestimates how much we like these characters, at least these remake versions of the characters, where the movie's constantly cutting back and forth through the story to show them listening to the Mufasa origin story. And it's like they always need to be commenting on it, whether it's providing this bland, funny moment in an otherwise serious moment in the story, or making a reference to Hakuna Matata. It is just so eye-roll worthy and not that funny. Haha, Pumbaa makes another fart joke, or in the middle of a serious part of the story he will say, "Be right back, I need to go get more crickets to snack on," and then rush back, like, haha, that's funny. I get it, it's for kids. But the inclusion of these characters as almost commentators on the story is just a bit distracting, and it feels like the movie is scared to get rid of characters from the original recipe that made the 2019 movie so successful. If they had somehow been introduced in the actual story and not this framing device, I don't know, maybe it would have worked more. It also could be too distracting as Rafiki the monkey appears and we get his origin story. We get the origin story for Zazu the bird and how Rafiki gets his cane, or how Pride Rock is formed, or how Scar gets his scar, which is honestly probably the biggest drawing factor. At least I was curious when this movie was announced how that would happen going in. And none of this stuff is inherently bad, but it's just so unneeded. Like, why do I need to see how the monkey gets his cane, or why a rock is formed? It's just proving this movie really has nothing meaningful to say, and is dragging out what really could be a simple 80-minute movie, which the original Lion King was. This is a musical with a bunch of characters and set pieces. It just doesn't really do anything interesting. And it feels a bit long. I wish it was shorter. I also had a bit of trouble telling all the lions apart at the beginning until they introduced the obviously villainous white lions. Great casting choice with Mads Mikkelsen as the leader of the lions, by the way. I did kind of like the Bye Bye song. It was very silly, and at first I thought this was kind of stupid, but honestly it fits with The Lion King being a kid's movie but having a fun villainous song. I did like that. This is just such a deeply bland and uninspired movie overall, where all of the best parts are really overshadowed by the boring stuff. I think the beginning is the most promising part of the movie, where we get to see the relationship between Mufasa and Scar, who's called Taka at the beginning. Basically, Mufasa is this lion cub who gets separated from his family in a flood, and is carried downstream far away from his home. It's there he's saved from the water by Taka, who becomes his adopted brother and takes him into his family, where no one will accept Mufasa because he is a stray and Taka is the rightful heir to the lion throne. Taka will become king one day, and his parents don't like Mufasa because in their minds, strays are a threat and might vie for power and try to take it from Taka. And I kind of like this. It felt like the original Lion King movie here in spirit, where you have these two brothers who are both being torn apart because of politics and something they don't really care about or have any control over. They just want to be brothers, and their parents are worried about what will happen in the future. Will Mufasa take over the throne? And my favorite parts are just early on in this movie where they are bonding and Mufasa is happy to have a brother because it feels the most real and believable of anything else in the movie, and just reminded me of the original Lion King with Simba. Like the whole "I can't wait to be king" song, it felt like that at the beginning. Then the family is attacked by the white mountain lions who come down to take over the kingdom and eliminate Taka's family. Taka and Mufasa are sent away, and at least that's where the movie starts to get pretty boring. It's at least where the movie drags out and starts to give Taka an origin story to become Scar, and it's just really forced. Like the fact that Taka becomes Scar over a girl is a choice. They meet Zarabi, a female lion who Mufasa tries to hook Taka/Scar up with, but she really likes Mufasa. So this results in Scar turning on Mufasa and sending the white lions after him and the whole lion tribe, and it's just a choice. It's over a girl, bro. On top of this, the movie fills its runtime building the origin story for Rafiki, like I mentioned, and having the lions go on this quest to get back to their kingdom, which should be interesting, but there's just not enough actions or songs at this point to really drive the movie home. It's just filling time, and it's kind of boring. Like, in the original, there were scenes like the stampede, or Scar tracking Simba with the hyenas, and this movie just doesn't have that. There is a lot of filler time later in the movie where they're just kind of hanging out on top of this mountain, and I was thinking, like, these are nice shots, but it's not like they're really doing anything. There's no chasing, it's just a bunch of lions, like, standing on a mountain. It feels like you're watching a wallpaper. There's something to be said for that, where when there's actual action, it's kind of fun. It's not great, but that's what I want to see. The musical numbers are what I want to see. It's cool looking. I don't just want to see lions walking on a mountain. Like, yeah, it's just a cool wallpaper. It really just isn't a great looking movie overall, too. Even the director of this movie, Barry Jenkins, who is an Academy Award winning director, who made Moonlight and If Beale Street Could Talk, he said directing this movie was not for him. And I mean, I can kind of see it. How do you make a movie about quote unquote live action lions feel emotional and deep? He does have a lot of cool shots and pans in this film which add to the drama, but honestly, there are cool scenes that are just so empty and void of emotion. And by the end, I really felt very little. I will say the way the story bookends by connecting to The Lion King 2019 and showing the present day where Mufasa's kids have grown up and now Kiara has a younger brother is a nice touch. Sure, it's a bit emotional. I'm sure kids will love it, but it doesn't save the movie from just being such a boring slog all the way through to its ending. The movie does not need to be this long, but these live-action films have all tried to drag out their runtime, so instead of being 80 minutes or 85 minutes, they're all like 100 or 120 minutes. And it's just, there's not so much more interesting stuff Disney can add while keeping their movies safe and bland. They have a structure and story arc to adhere to here, and it just doesn't take any risks. And I wish they would. Mufasa is an alright movie, but if we're going to keep making these remakes, they should at least take more risks. When Mufasa died in the original Lion King, it was dark and really sad. But this movie doesn't dare touch any subjects like that now. They basically imply the death of Taka's parents and don't show it. I'm not saying you need to see these lions getting massacred, but at least have some emotional stakes here. Don't shy away from that. At least make the situation feel dark and hopeless, and like they have to fight to reclaim their kingdom from the white lions. I get that these movies are for kids, but at the same time, kids deserve really good movies, and this is not it. It's a prequel that really has no business even existing, but because the 2019 remake made so much money, here you have it, I guess. A safe, bland, but surefire recipe to gross money at the expense of a real, nuanced story. I guess to close out this review, here is what I have to say. I would like to see more of these Disney movies, but I think they need to start taking risks. They can keep doing this thing where they make safe stories, but at the same time, you're not going to have a great real story if you just keep relying on these safe and really avoiding any danger in your story. You need to have drama. Lean into making it a little more weird. Make Scar and Mufasa's descent into kind of becoming enemies more realistic. I don't like that it just happens because, well, Mufasa steals his girl. Like, yeah, that's actually a kind of valid reason for hating him, but it just feels so jarring in this movie. This is a movie about the Lion King, yet I really don't feel like we get a scope of the kingdom itself. I would like to see more of the circle of life. Show us how they govern these animals. Show us how the lions are in charge. By the end, there's actually a pretty decent scene where Mufasa rallies up all the animals to help protect the kingdom from the white lions. And honestly, I think this scene could be so much better if we understood the lions' relationship in the dynamic of these animals, because you really don't see how they are kings or how they rule this kingdom. You're just told that. We've been told that since 1994's The Lion King. Here is a chance to actually show why the lions get to be the top ones in the pack. At the end of the day, I just wish this world felt more fleshed out and believable. It's a movie about live-action lions fighting to reclaim their kingdom. Yet there is something here that could be done well. The reason Lion King 1994 worked is because it had a great story. It didn't waste its time with filler. It was a musical. It had great action. It was an emotional, beautiful story. And it was only 84 minutes. It spent no time on anything that wasn't important. Mufasa should learn that lesson. In future movies, I would just like to see these worlds feel believable. Not that they're just these bland settings for making money. They should actually care about the story and try and build this world beyond the main characters like Rafiki or Zazu. I want to see how the kingdom works. So having said that, let me know what you guys think of Mufasa the Lion King, if you also think it's just a bland recipe for making money, and if you enjoy this movie, or if I'm just being cynical. So with that, happy holidays everyone, and thank you for watching the review.